what SLIs can we measure and how we manage data cap flow based on those SLIs. So in Istanbul last year, we introduced this new concept of allocator pathways, where instead of having notaries and two systems, the notary network and eFIL Plus, we will allow everyone to submit their ideas of how they think data cap should be distributed, what are the rules according to which they would like to distribute data cap, and the governance team will kind of delegate the obligations of over distributing the data cap to those, as we call them, allocators. Something that is important to point out that I wanted to talk about here is that while in the initial influx of applications that the governance team received, most of them were can I do this? No. They ended up being here in the manual allocators. So everybody said, okay, so we will basically do what notaries used to do. We'll just do it on a much smaller scale of the 5 petabytes of initial allocation, but it will be still like manual process of us analyzing the applicants and so on and so forth. The idea actually is that this is just one of the pathways. We really want to have the ones that are like, and this was a brainstorming session that the governance team and FIDL team did. It's not like a prescriptive set of pathways, but we really want the market-driven ones, or we really want the experimental ones, or the meta allocators that are like automated and so on. So far, we haven't seen much of that, but this is the idea. And I'll come back to why we want to do it this way. FIDL, as Will mentioned, runs 2/3 allocators. So we have the enterprise data pathway, open data pathway, and the auto allocator that is a faucet. And since we wanted to talk about SLAs, well, what do we measure and how do we, as FIDL, when we operate our allocator, how do we decide whether a client should get data cap or we reject their application? For the enterprise data pathway, principle is it's enterprise data. There is very little that we can do with automated verification or some kind of on-chain tooling. A lot of it will have to be done quite manually. Now, the yellow is third-party services. The ones in blue are tooling that are built, let's say, in-house, at least in Protocol Labs ecosystem. And then the white ones are manual things that we do. So we do KYC for the storage providers and KYB for the client. That's done using third-party tools like Synapse, Toggle, and so on. We are actually in the process of finding a better one. We are not happy with the one that we are working on. So if anybody has recommendations, please come to me. We then do a manual verification of the data set. We do a manual verification of the contract between the client and the SP. That's the most important part to us, to make sure that the client and SP are not the same entity and that they are actually doing a deal that will result in growth in the Filecoin ecosystem, hopefully. We then measure retrievability. That's done with Spark. And we look at the data prep. And that process is also quite manual. We request the data preparer, so client to ask the data preparer to tell us how is the data prepared, and we look at the code and verify it to make sure there's not much padding and it's like properly packed. On the open data pathway, we have much more leverage and much more things that we can automatically check with tooling. So when we talk about availability, this basically means that we want to make sure that dataset is available that it must be available for Spark checking and through manual retrieval attempts by other pathway operators. So that's what we talk about when we talk about availability. Accessibility for retrieval from at least 2 distinct geographical locations. That's again something that we can check with Spark to a degree. And we also require that the data must be retrievable for free for anyone that wants to access it. And John's gone, but I know John's point, and many other allocators or many other SPs are saying, look, you're talking about, free retrievability. Retrievability is costly. we are talking about open data pathways. This is data that is supposed to be kind of public good, and the FIL plus block rewards rewards should cover that retrievability. If you want to provide open data, you should be able to cover for it. And we also started checking recently how many times that data set has been onboarded prior to this one. What we started seeing is that people are just onboarding over and over and over the same data crawl set or the same some other research data set. So we want to now, and that is currently done manually, although that admittedly could be an automated tool. We do go in and we verify whether that data set, like how many times has it been onboarded. And let's say up to 30, we're okay. And when it's 150th time, we're like, maybe there's no value, or tell us what's the value compared to the other data sets. And for the auto allocator, we have a simple KYC that is done through Gitcoin Passport. You need to score 20 or more to show that you're a human, and you can get the 22 gigs. So tools, I wanted to show you those tools, but we will be doing that also in the talks tomorrow. Compliance allocator.tech produces compliance reports, and that's when we look at how are our clients performing, how are our SPs performing, and so on. This is a very nice image report that provides comprehensive overview of how our clients are doing. We have dashboards on datacapstats.io. I was very pleased to see screenshots of those dashboards, including one that was released just yesterday that Juan included in his slides. So we are trying to improve that, and that's obviously an ongoing battle. Allocator tooling is a very good tooling for allocators to understand where are their clients, how do they, and for being able to do the verification process and the analysis and so on and so forth. And then we have the static dashboard, so they are not kind of constantly up to date on Filecoin Pulse. That's David Gasquet's work. That is absolutely amazing. I'm not taking ownership of that. He's doing all the work. We've just thrown some ideas at him, and he's been a magician. So the other part of the compliance and, how the SLAs are used here is that for refreshes on each allocator, the governance team, K-Ray is here, Galen hasn't arrived yet, but kudos to both of them for doing very detailed audits on on each allocator and deciding whether the allocator will get double the data cap, same amount, matching amount, if there's some questionability around the allocator's behavior, or fail, and then they have to just cease operations. So that's mix of manual and automated tools, but that's kind of how we make sure that allocators meet the requirements that they've set out for themselves, or the governance team does. So how does this all tie to PMF? We are in Phil Plus, I think that I just came up with this analogy, and I hope that it will work for everyone. I think we are taking a community garden approach. So we let the community, in this case allocators, plant many trees and say, this is my concept of how allocations to data cap allocations should be done. And then we see which ones of which one of those the community waters and let them blooms, meaning where is the data cap which allocator is the most popular. Of course, by seeing which are more successful, we can understand the market. We can see what's good, what people are seeing as the best ease of use versus ease of engagement versus difficulty of being compliant, and so on and so forth. That that assumes that all pathways that are available to the community or available to the clients have to be beneficial to Filecoin. And that's something that's the big asterisk here, that we are still discovering how to define pathways that are beneficial to allocators, or to Filecoin, not allocators. So this is something that we are still working on, and we are engaging with all of you here to find that. That is kind of the FIL Plus product market fit, if you want. And the compliance and auditing is taking care of that kind of figuring out or making sure that only pathways that are first and foremost beneficial to Filecoin are taking care of that. And the improved tooling that allows for quick data cap refresh allows most popular pathways to grow faster, because that's the other part that we need to see, that continuous growth. So I encourage you again to come tomorrow to the FIL Plus Day. Hopefully this shows you a little bit that we are already thinking and using the SLA concepts in at least our FIL Plus pathway. And now Clara will summarize it and we can go to the happy hour. Thank you.